What happens when a ruthless CEO fires a loyal, pregnant employee without a second thought? He gets the shock of his life when her husband steps in, not just to fight back, but to take over the entire company. Mark Sullivan was a man who thrived in the fast-paced world of technology, steering his company, Inexa Solutions, to the pinnacle of success. A towering figure in the industry, he was celebrated for his sharp intellect and relentless drive. However, behind the glossy facade of achievements lay a man whose reputation for ruthlessness preceded him. Mark valued results above all else, and empathy was a concept he deemed irrelevant in the corporate battlefield. Employees admired his business acumen but feared his unyielding approach. To him, people were assets, valuable only as long as they performed. Among Inexa's team was Sarah Matthews, a bright, hardworking project manager who had been with the company for nearly a decade. Known for her unwavering dedication and innovative problem-solving, Sarah had earned respect across departments. She was the kind of employee Mark grudgingly appreciated but rarely acknowledged. During a routine company meeting one Tuesday morning, Sarah raised her hand, her face glowing with a mix of excitement and nerves. "I wanted to share some personal news," she began, smiling warmly. "I'm expecting a baby." For a moment, the room erupted into applause and cheers from her colleagues, offering their congratulations. Mark, seated at the head of the table, plastered on a polite smile, nodding perfunctorily. "Congratulations, Sarah," he said in a measured tone, his expression unreadable. To the casual observer, his response seemed appropriate, yet to those who knew him well, there was a flicker of calculation in his eyes, as though he was already re-evaluating Sarah's place in the company. Sarah sat back down, her excitement dimmed slightly by the uneasy feeling that her announcement hadn't been as well received as it appeared. In the days following Sarah's announcement, Mark Sullivan's outward demeanor remained professional, even cordial. He congratulated her again in passing and asked vaguely about her health. Yet behind the closed doors of the executive boardroom, his true feelings surfaced. "This is a business, not a daycare," Mark said curtly during a leadership meeting. "Sarah's productivity is bound to drop, and let's not ignore the costs: maternity leave, reduced efficiency, and having to temporarily replace her. It's a liability we can't afford right now, especially with the market tightening." A few of the executives exchanged uneasy glances, but no one dared challenge him. Mark had cultivated a culture where dissent wasn't welcome. "We'll frame it as restructuring," he continued. "Cutting a few positions will look strategic to stakeholders." By the end of the week, Sarah received a summons to Mark's office. She entered with a hint of apprehension but no real idea of what was coming. Mark sat behind his imposing desk, his expression calm yet detached. "Sarah," he began, "I want to start by saying how much we value the contributions you've made to this company, but due to recent restructuring decisions, we're having to eliminate a few roles, and unfortunately, yours is one of them." The words hit her like a physical blow. "What restructuring?" she stammered. "But I've been here for almost 10 years. My track record." "It's not about performance," Mark interrupted smoothly, his tone icy. "It's about the bigger picture." Devastated, Sarah packed her things and left the office, tears blurring her vision. When she told her husband, Daniel, the news that evening, his face darkened. "We'll get through this," he said firmly, though his jaw tightened with an unspoken determination. In the days following her abrupt dismissal, Sarah Matthews struggled to find her footing. The feeling of betrayal lingered, and sleepless nights became routine as she worried about their future. "It's not just about me," she confided to Daniel one evening, her voice breaking. "It's about how unfair it is, how people like Mark can get away with this." Daniel listened intently, his steady presence grounding her. "You're right," he said, his tone calm but resolute. "But right now, your health and the baby come first. Let's focus on what we can control." Taking his advice to heart, Sarah channeled her energy into preparing for the arrival of their child. Yet the injustice weighed heavily on her, an ever-present reminder of how easily loyalty could be discarded in the corporate world. Months passed, and life slowly moved forward. Then, one crisp autumn morning, an unexpected headline dominated the business news: Inexa Solutions acquired by new investment group. Mark Sullivan watched the announcement unfold on a live-streamed press conference, seated at the head of a conference table flanked by his senior team. His confidence wavered as the new owners took the stage. "We're excited to usher in a new era for Anexa," the spokesperson began before stepping aside to introduce the company's new CEO. As the camera panned, Mark's face drained of color. Standing confidently at the podium was Daniel Matthews. The room fell silent as Daniel began to speak, his voice steady and authoritative. "This company has incredible potential, but true leadership requires empathy and integrity," he said. His words struck a nerve. Though he didn't name Mark directly, the message was clear, and the stunned CEO knew his time was up. As the press conference continued, Daniel Matthews stood tall at the podium, exuding an air of quiet authority. His confident smile revealed none of the turmoil he and Sarah had endured in the past months. The room buzzed with murmurs as executives and employees alike tried to make sense of the shocking revelation. "Many of you may not know me," Daniel began, his voice calm yet commanding, "but I've been a silent investor in this industry for years, watching and learning. When the opportunity arose to acquire Anexa Solutions, I knew it was time to step forward." Mark Sullivan sat frozen in his seat, his mind racing. Silent investor? How had he missed this? His gaze darted to the screen, where Daniel's composed expression offered no clues about what might come next. Daniel's tone shifted, growing more purposeful. "Leadership isn't just about profits or market dominance," he said. "It's about valuing the people who make those successes possible. Empathy, fairness, and integrity are not weaknesses, they're strengths." Though Daniel didn't mention Mark by name, the subtle undertones in his words were unmistakable. The room's atmosphere grew heavy, and Mark's face flushed with embarrassment. He felt the weight of the unspoken accusations, knowing exactly what Daniel referred to. "Sarah," Daniel concluded with a firm yet optimistic note, "I look forward to working with all of you to build a company where people feel valued, not just for what they do but for who they are." The applause that followed was thunderous, but Mark could only hear the pounding of his own heart. He realized with a sinking feeling that the reign of his cutthroat tactics had come to an end. In the weeks following the press conference, Anexa Solutions began its transformation under Daniel Matthews' leadership. True to his word, Daniel wasted no time in implementing changes that prioritized the well-being of the employees. The first major announcement came during a company-wide meeting, where Daniel unveiled a new set of policies focused on work-life balance, paid family leave, and transparent communication. "Today marks the beginning of a new chapter," Daniel said, his gaze sweeping across the room. "We're committed to building a workplace where everyone feels supported and respected." Among the changes was a moment that brought the room to its feet, Sarah Matthews' reinstatement. Daniel invited her onto the stage, his pride evident. "Sarah has been a cornerstone of this company's success for nearly a decade," he said. "Her dedication and contributions deserve not only recognition but trust. I'm thrilled to announce that Sarah will return as Senior Project Director, leading one of our most critical initiatives." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as the crowd erupted into applause. Her colleagues, many of whom had been appalled by her firing, cheered loudly, thrilled to see her back where she belonged. Meanwhile, Mark Sullivan's exit was swift and decisive. Facing mounting pressure from the board and the undeniable symbolism of Daniel's leadership, Mark was forced to step down. His departure was quiet and unceremonious, a sharp contrast to the dominant presence he once wielded. For Sarah and Daniel, the moment was deeply symbolic. Justice had been served, but more importantly, the company's culture was evolving into something meaningful. As Sarah returned to her role, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing she was part of a workplace that finally valued its people. Months later, the Matthews household was filled with the soft coo of a newborn and the quiet hum of contentment. Sarah sat in a cozy chair by the window, cradling their baby daughter, Emma, in her arms. The sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting a warm glow on the peaceful scene. Daniel knelt beside them, his hand gently resting on Sarah's as he gazed at their little girl with awe. "This," Daniel said softly, his voice thick with emotion, "is what matters most." The journey to this moment had been anything but easy. They had faced betrayal, uncertainty, and challenges that tested their resilience. Yet, as they looked at their daughter, the struggles seemed to fade into the background, leaving only gratitude for how far they had come. The love and support they had received from friends, family, and even Sarah's colleagues were overwhelming. The same co-workers who had rallied behind her during her dismissal now sent heartfelt messages and gifts for the baby, a testament to the impact of the changes Daniel had brought to Anexa. For Sarah, the experience was a reminder of the importance of standing up for what's right, even in the face of adversity. And for Daniel, it was proof that leadership built on empathy and integrity could create lasting change, not just in business, but in people's lives. As they sat together, surrounded by love, they knew this was more than just the start of a new chapter. It was a celebration of justice, resilience, and the power of compassion. And in the quiet moments that followed, with Emma sleeping soundly in her arms, Sarah felt a profound sense of peace, knowing they had built a future worth fighting for. Dive into this gripping story of resilience, justice, and redemption. Follow Sarah and Daniel's journey as they turn betrayal into triumph and transform a cutthroat business into a beacon of empathy and integrity. Don't miss this powerful tale that proves standing up for what's right can change everything.